They laughed. Oh, they laughed loud. Not because they were joyful, but because they were scared. Because mockery is the last defense of the weak, and I made them feel small. They mocked the silence, the discipline, the way I kept coming back. They called me obsessed, delusional, possessed. Maybe I was. Possessed by a hunger they'd never understand. Driven by a fire they never had to survive. I didn't speak much, didn't beg, didn't cry in front of them. So they said I was cold, detached, empty. But they didn't see the war inside. They didn't hear the voices I had to silence. They didn't count the nights I sat alone trying to make sense of a world that only applauds the polished and crucifies the unfinished. They mocked the mess, mocked the grind, mocked the silence between my strikes, but they didn't know every step back I took was just a wind-up for the next blow. They thought I was failing. I was forming. They saw the cracks, not realizing I was building pressure, building power, preparing the collapse of every lie they built about me. They wanted me predictable, palatable, powerless, but I didn't come here to make sense to them. I came to make history. And so they laughed, because that's what the scared do when they see someone becoming what they were too afraid to attempt. They labeled me, framed me, tried to box me in. Because when they can't control you, they try to contain you. And when that fails, they turn to mockery. But here's the thing, I never needed their applause. I needed their disbelief. I needed their mockery, their venom, their laughter. Because every sneer sharpened me, every rumor wrapped around me like wire, tight, painful, but shaping something lethal. They didn't know they were training the very thing they feared. They mocked the way I moved, but I wasn't moving for them. I was moving through them. They thought I was lost. I was hidden. They thought I was weak. I was watching. They thought I was broken. I was building. And now that I've arrived, they scramble to understand. But they won't. They can't. Because what I became wasn't meant to be understood. It was meant to be witnessed. And feared. So let them mock. Let them fume. Let them twist their tongues around explanations. Let them search for the cheat code, the secret, the trick. There is none. There was only pain and patience and power forged in silence. They mocked what they didn't understand. Now they worship what they can't explain. And I haven't even started. They laughed, loud, careless, cruel. They called me crazy, called me slow, called me weak. Because I chose silence over circus. Because I didn't perform, didn't flinch, didn't beg. They mocked me like it was a sport, turned my name into a punchline. Every scar on my soul became their entertainment. I remember, not because I'm bitter, but because I built with it, brick by brutal brick. While they celebrated my downfall, I was constructing my resurrection. They thought I was folding. I was forming. They thought I was finished. I was fasting. They called it losing. But I was loading. While they dined on gossip, I chewed on pain. While they chased applause, I chased alignment. While they posed, pretended, I prepared. I sat alone, not because no one came, but because I stopped waiting. And in that silence, I found everything they were too loud to hear. I found me. The version that doesn't need to be liked. The version that doesn't break for breadcrumbs. The version that builds empires in the dark and burns the blueprint after. Now I eat alone, and they watch from empty tables, mouths full of envy, hearts hollow with hunger. They thought I was starving, but I was just saving my appetite for legacy. They thought isolation would kill me, but it carved something sacred, something unreachable. I don't crave the crowd. I crave the quiet, the peace that comes with knowing I owe no one an explanation for the feast in front of me. They laughed when I had nothing. Now they stare while I have everything. But here's the difference. I didn't just survive. I outgrew. I didn't just bounce back. I evolved. They're still fighting for likes. I'm fighting for legacy. They want moments. I want monuments. Let them wonder how I did it. Let them guess, gossip, and grit their teeth. Because I won't tell them. I let them watch. Watch how the one they laughed at became the name they can't forget. Watch how the empty chair they mocked became the throne they'll never touch. They used to laugh while I sat alone. Now I eat in silence, and their stomachs growl with regret. And I'm still not bitter. I'm just busy, too full, too focused, too far gone. Let them starve. Let them scroll. Let them spin stories about what they could have been. I'm not at their table anymore. I built my own, and it's invitation only. They laughed at me once, but they're not laughing now. They're watching, hungry, hollow, humbled. They thought I'd crumble, and maybe I did, quietly, silently, when no one was watching. But I didn't stay down. No, I rebuilt. Brick by brick, cut by cut, prayer by painful prayer. Not in public, not for show. In the shadows, under God's watchful eye. They laughed while I labored. They danced while I dug. They partied while I planned. And that was their first mistake. They thought noise was progress, but I was moving in silence, moving with purpose. I wasn't just building walls. I was building foundations of discipline, of patience, of power. They threw stones. I stacked them. They tried to bury me. I used the dirt to rise. See, when you're chosen, you don't need their platform. You don't need their stage. You don't need their permission. All you need is pressure. And I had plenty. They said I was done, that I was finished, that I'd never recover. But I didn't need their belief. I had blueprints written in blood, plans forged in prayer, a calling that couldn't be canceled. And every tear I swallowed, cement. Every no I heard, a steel beam. Every door slammed in my face, another floor. Now look, I stand too tall to touch, to focus, to distract, too high up for their poison to reach. They can't knock me off something they didn't help build. They can't shake what God has anchored. I didn't rise on hype. I rose on heaven's green light. I don't answer to fear anymore. I don't bow to pressure. I don't shrink for the comfort of cowards. And you want to know the truth? I don't even blame them. They were supposed to doubt me. That was their role. But elevation, that was mine. So now when they stare, let them. When they whisper, let them. When they wonder how I made it out, tell them, brick by brick, pain by pain, prayer by prayer. Not one shortcut, not one favor, only fire, only faith. And now, I don't need to clap back. I don't need to prove anything. I am the proof, the living testimony, the silent storm, the name they refuse to respect, now the name they can't ignore. So let them reach, let them plot, let them hope I fall. But I don't fall, I rise. I rise because I was built that way. And what God watches over can't be touched, can't be shaken, can't be stopped. I'm not just standing. I'm standing tall, unshaken, unbothered, unbreakable. Built brick by brick, under God's watch, too tall to touch. They're down bad, and I mean real bad. Not just broke, bitter, not just confused, consumed, not just watching, obsessing. They can't sleep without checking if I've fallen yet. They wake up hoping the universe finally clipped my wings, and every time they look up, I'm higher. You see, I didn't just level up. I left orbit. I don't move like them anymore. I don't crave what they crave. I don't bleed where they scratch. I'm up, but I'm up different. I stopped responding. I stopped explaining. I stopped dancing for applause from people who'd rather see me drown than swim. Now I move in silence, and they confuse it for weakness. But I'm not hiding. I'm hunting. They wanted war, and I gave them a mirror. Let them fight themselves while I build thrones and peace. Let them burn with envy while I sit calm in the shade of grace. They rage. I rise. They scheme. I succeed. They gossip. I glow. They think I'm lucky. They think I sold my soul. They think I had help. Let them think. Because while they talk, I transform. While they spiral, I soar. While they mimic, I master. I don't compete, I command. I don't ask, I arrive. I don't knock, I own the door now. And what kills them the most is that I don't look back. I don't throw shade. I don't clap back. I just win, softly, quietly, and without needing to explain a thing. They wanted to see me fail just to feel alive, but I became their silence, their ache, their obsession. I'm not just doing better. I'm untouchable. I'm unreachable. I'm UNBOTHERED. And when they say I changed, I did. I had to. You don't survive betrayal and stay soft. You don't walk through fire and come out fragile. You don't rise from nothing without letting go of everything. So now, I don't chase. I attract. I don't explain. I exhale. I don't fight. I float above the noise. Let them sit in the ashes of their hate. Let them replay every moment they tried to block me. Let them scroll through every post pretending they don't see me. I know they're watching, and I know it hurts, because they're down bad. But me, I'm up different. I'm up divine. I'm up protected. And no storm they summon can reach this altitude. They said I was cursed, said I must have sold my soul, because how else could someone like me survive everything they threw and keep rising? They couldn't explain me, so they labeled me witch, snake, manipulator, demon in disguise, too powerful to be real, too blessed to be understood. But let me make this clear. I ain't hexed. I'm heaven held. I didn't climb out of hell just to beg for their approval. I was carried by a force they'll never understand, by a whisper in the dark that said, keep going, I got you. They threw salt, they lit candles, they formed circles and tried to curse my name. But every time they cast spells, I grew stronger. You can't hex someone who's already been through hell. You can't break what's already been broken and rebuilt. You can't curse what heaven covers in armor. They thought they were fighting me, but really, they were swinging at something bigger than both of us. And I stayed still, watched them exhaust themselves in the fire, while I stood flame-proof. Because when you're chosen, they'll try everything to turn you into a villain. They'll twist your name, mock your miracles, blame you for the blessings they prayed for and never received. But I didn't get here through shortcuts. I didn't get here through magic tricks. I got here through war, through wounds, through silence, through faith that never flinched. I don't need candles to shine. I am the light. I don't need spells to survive. I am the result of survival. They thought I must have made a deal, and I did. But not with darkness. I made a deal with every version of myself that refused to die. With the kid who cried in silence. With the soul that kept walking through fire. With the spirit that said, we keep going, no matter who leaves, no matter who laughs. You can't hex that. You can't touch that. Every trap they set turned into my training ground. Every attack only revealed how deeply I was shielded. Every lie exposed the truth that I'm held, chosen, divinely preserved. They tried to summon storms against me, but I was walking with the weather maker. They tried to bury me under curses, but they forgot. I am the root. They studied my silence like it was sorcery, tried to decode my peace like it was a puzzle. But what I have can't be copied, can't be mimicked, can't be purchased, because what holds me doesn't answer to this world. And if they still think I'm hexed, let them tremble in confusion while I move in clarity. Let them obsess over shadows while I walk in light. Let them burn every bridge. I've already learned to fly. I ain't hexed. I'm heaven held, and you can't fight what's favored. You can't bind what's blessed. You can't silence what's sent. So let them stare. Let them spiral. Let them scream at the sky asking, why not me? Because while they were pointing fingers, I was praying. While they were plotting, I was planting. While they were cursing my name, God was carving my crown. They tried to curse me, but they watch me glow. And no matter how loud they get, I remain untouched. Because I ain't hexed, I'm heaven held. They never saw it coming, not because it was hidden, but because they never believed I was worthy of rising this high. They thought I was finished, a phase, a glitch, a passing spark that would fade into silence. But sparks start fires, and I didn't fade. I ignited. Now I stand where they can't follow. They tried to trace my steps, but this path wasn't paved by man. It was carved by purpose, designed by something far greater than their opinions. I didn't sneak into this throne. I was placed, positioned, posted. I'm VIP in heaven's war room, and the doors locked behind me. Let them knock, let them beg, let them scream through the keyhole. This seat, it's not up for discussion. This access, it's not for sale, not for clout, not for imitation. You can't network your way into favor. You can't fake your way into destiny. You either paid the price or you didn't, and I paid it. With blood, with silence, with scars no one clapped for. See, I didn't just survive the betrayal. I used it as my blueprint. Every stab in the back became another line in the prophecy. Every lie whispered became another line in my script. They authored my downfall, but heaven rewrote the ending. And now I don't walk in rooms wondering who likes me. I walk in understanding who covered me, who called me, who carried me. When the world tried to bury me in dust, let them fume. Let them drown in envy. Let them scroll through their screens, wondering why the doors don't open for them. Because this wasn't handed. This was earned. This was anointed. This was prewritten. I'm not lucky. I'm licensed. I'm not just rising. I'm reserved. And the ones who tried to curse me, they're choking on the proof that grace can't be stopped by gossip. You can't hex what's held by heaven. You can't cancel what was called to conquer. They want access to my peace, but they didn't pray through my war. They want a seat at my table, but they never fasted through my famine. They want my glow, but they never sat in my night. So I don't explain. I don't defend. I don't dilute my light to make the dim feel safe. I shine. I rise. I reign. Not because I'm better, but because I believed when no one did. Because I bent without breaking. Because I bowed only to what's higher. So yes, I'm VIP in heaven's war room. And the war, already won. The door, locked. The code, favor. The audience, select. Let them keep plotting. Let them keep watching. Let them keep wondering how he made it through what should have broken you. Here's the truth. You didn't walk in alone. You were escorted, divinely, silently, powerfully, and the same grace that lifted you now surrounds you. So when they ask why they can't reach you anymore, tell them you didn't disappear. You just got upgraded. And heaven don't do general admission.